Having been to all the Supermoto USA events, me and my friends were all super impressed by the riders in the Open Expert class.
Man, did you see from how far back this dude could back it in?
But then, this guy showed up.
Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for it.
This is the time difference between Gage winning and Vincent coming in second place in the Pro Supermoto class. The difference is quite insane.
Coming out the jacket, cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see you clapping when you get up out your seat. It's time to make it happen when we hit these streets. I'm coming in hot and I can't be beat. Watch out now.
So how did it go for me and my friends? Well, I had a really shaky start in the Vet 30 Plus heat race. I thought I had launch control engaged, but I obviously didn't. Still saved it though. I also managed to crash in one of the races, but I got up real quick. It felt like a lot longer on the track. Looking at the footage, man, I just sprinted to get the bike back up. My friend Lucas brought his indestructible DRZ to race, but unfortunately it proved to actually be destructible, dying on the day before the races. I promised to let him borrow my FS450, and he entered the beginner's class since I had to use the bike in other classes. Our friend David showed up with his awesome BMW G650X. Not only did he race on it, he literally rode the bike to the track, brought all of his camping gear and camped next to the bike. He's a real biker superhero. Check out his YouTube channel right here, and remember to subscribe. Lucas had a better start in the beginner's class on my FS450, and David were close behind them. Lucas ended up winning the heat race and David coming in second behind them. My start in the open asphalt and amateur races were better than in the 30 plus one, and I finished third in both the heats. I had some great fights in both of these races. If there's anything you can be sure of, it's that racers like to compare gear with one another.
You got the better one.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have the titanium ones. They shave off at least 4 seconds on the lap times. True story. Lucas decided to race his Husky 701 instead of the FS450 in the Beginners Open main event, to make the race a bit more challenging, being on street tires and not being used to ride the bike on this type of track. It turned out to be an epic race, with David and Lucas almost clashing with one another in the start. David showed some serious improvement in his riding, this being the second race he has ever entered. Lucas struggled to keep the 701 upright, sliding around on the street tires. It's hard to see on film, but the turns coming after the dirt section were very slippery. You basically had to ride the bike on a slide to get any type of cornering speed. Both of them pulled off a great race, Lucas winning and David coming in fourth. The Open Expert class had a great race as usual, with Bronson and Andrew having a great battle all the way into the last lap. With Bronson winning yet again. Now it was time for the Open Amateur main event. Knowing how the heat went, I knew I was going to battle with Jason Ruley and Ray Swaney. And hell yes did it prove to be a fight. I managed to get ahead of Jason in the start, blocking him into the first corner. I knew that Ray had a really hard time in the corners coming out of the dirt, so my plan was to pass him before the main straight. But I also had to keep in mind that Jason was right behind me, and I had to block him but also plan for the pass. I have this ability to hear if someone is behind me, so I don't have to look to see if someone's there, which some racers has to do. On the first and second laps, I knew Jason was on my tail and I was doing everything I could to predict where he was going to try to pass me. But then in the second lap I could hear that he wasn't behind me anymore, so I started to take better lines to catch up with Ray. I later found out that Jason stalled his bike coming out of the dirt and struggled to get it started again. I was planning to pass Ray where I had passed him in one of the previous races, where I knew he had no grip at all coming out of the turn. But I managed to go into the corner hot, sliding the front wheel way too hard. Looking at the video, I'm like some sort of a gazelle, picking the bike back up and getting back into the race in no time at all. Even though I crashed, I finished third in the race. This racing weekend was a great experience, and if you have ever thought about getting into racing, you just have to try out Supermoto. It's fun, it's cheap, and it's challenging. And if you don't want to race, but still thinks this looks like a ton of fun, come out to watch. Over and out.